Hi everyone, it's Nick here, and today I'm going to review Persona 4 Golden, the PS4 remastered version. Was released just, when was it? I think it was released in fall of, wait. Anyway, it was released in the past year. It was released for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and I have a PS5, I was able to play it on that, so I did, as you know, I did a live stream collection for the first time I played it, which the first time ended up getting a bad ending, and then the second one, which I finally got the true and golden ending, was even better. I mean, at first I was always surprised. Oh, that's why I got the bad ending. That's why it was so abrupt. So yes, I got the full ending. It was really quite great. What a great game. I mean, I was starting to well up at the end. Them all saying goodbye to each other was quite touching. But them having to all say goodbye after becoming so close. The investigation team. The game has some really good characters as well. It has Teddy, who's always hilarious, and there's Yosuke, also quite funny, and Kanji, tough guy character. You have Rise, Chie, name some pretty good cast of characters. In this game, it's a little different in the story department. It has a couple of villains in it, but for the most part, for most of the game, well, there might be some slight spoilers here, but you're fighting the characters that get taken to the what's called the Midnight Channel, the TV world in the game. They basically are battling their own personal demons, and at the time, you fight their shadow version, and once you beat them, that resolves that. I mean, you later find out in the game there's an overarching plot. I won't say anything about it. I mean, I recommend going through the game and seeing it for yourself. Quite a good plot in the game. Now, there were a couple spots in the plot that got kind of slow. I mean, compared to 5, 5 had more of a dynamic plot. It had more variation to it. I do think there were parts in 4 that were slowed down a little too much, but I mean, they weren't too often. Overall, it was pretty good. It was, pretty quick, and didn't feel like it was too slow for the most part. Even though the game, I played for quite a bit. I put in, for the first time I put in about 50 hours, and then second time it was quicker because I was speeding through the cutscenes and I had seen already in the playthrough. So they go through faster, but anyway, so let's see. Music in the game is really quite good. I mean, as per usual with Atlus, I mean, they tend to have really good soundtracks in the game. This is the type of soundtrack I actually wish I could end up buying on iTunes, but regretfully they don't have it yet. They do have it on YouTube, and I do listen to it here and there, but let's see, my favorites: Face Yourself, Time to Make History, which is the typical battle theme. And it has, the great title track, which is called Shadow World. Let's see. New World Fool, which comes up later in the game. It's one of the boss tracks for later. To name some. Yeah, I do wish they would have this on iTunes. This is a really great soundtrack. It has some really great tracks. Quite catchy. But, I mean, that's the usual part for it. What else? The battle system, it's typical Persona battle system, which would be further refined in 5, of course. Turn-based, and, the key to it is you tend to be trying to find the enemy weaknesses. That tends to be the best way to do it. And, of course, you have your personas that you use. I mean, designs for them were solid. I think 5 had better designs, but I mean, they were pretty good. I mean, my favorites were, let's see. Oh, I think mostly with the characters themselves. Like, I really like Naoto's one, Kanji's, and well, the main character doesn't really have his. I don't remember him really having his own distinct persona, but I think he just uses various personas. I mean, maybe he did. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, but those are my favorite ones. Naoto and Kanji is one of my favorites. I think 5 had better designs overall, but anyway, you know, they operate similar. I mean, if you played Persona 5, they operate similar to that, and I'm sure they operate the same as they do in 3. You know, for the main character protagonist, you select. Like over the course of the game, you gather all these personas, you know, for battles and shuffle time, which is something that comes up in the game where you can get, you know, these cards show up and you pick out one. I mean, you can get more, but only under certain conditions. Like you pick a certain card, you get more draws, but typically you get one draw, and you pick between a persona, stat increase, money up, EXP up, so on. You know, I typically went with money and EXP up, and then personas for the most part. First playthrough, I would pick the bad ones. I mean, they had these ones where you can get more cards, but they give you bad effects, like no EXP and stuff. I did that only to get the, I can't remember the name of the trophy, the one where you get sweet bonus, that's it, yeah. Which is when you gather all the cards that are on the screen, you get a sweet bonus. Other than that, I typically would just typically pick one. Enemies, I mean, they're pretty solid designs. I think my favorite ones were the mech ones. You know, if you look at the box art for Persona 4 Golden, there's a mech on the box. I think that was probably my favorite enemy design in the game. Let's see, dungeon design. Well, as I said, I started with Persona 5. I think the dungeons were, I mean, I'm sure they were good back in their day. I think they were a bit, the design was a bit underwhelming. You know, I think it was just, like, Persona 5 just had really good dungeons. They had very distinct styles, like, you know, Kamoshida's Palace. In the way he viewed the school, it looked like a castle, and Madarame, he had the museum. You know, he saw he was this big shot art guy in his mind. You know, like that. I think that game had really stellar, you know, dungeon design. You know, going to Persona 4, it felt a bit, you know, it felt a bit underwhelming. You know, it just felt like very just RNG. I mean, I guess it was something of its time in the PS2, but, you know, like I said, it's come a long way with these dungeons in the Persona games, and also in Persona 3 Reload, they're also taking a page from Persona 5, and they're, you know, giving their dungeons, I think mainly targets, they're giving it more distinct style. They're not just doing the RNG, you know, random numbers generated for design. Well, actually, it's not. Actually, no. It's not really RNG. It's just they reuse a lot of the same asset. It doesn't look very distinct. I mean, pretty much when you go in there, that's what it looks like. So, anyway, I'm not going to knock it too much. It was something of its time. It was common. Like I said, you know, I played Persona 5 first, so that had really better design. What else? Oh yeah, pretty good character designs as usual. I mean, you can look at the picture, the thumbnail. I mean, it has really good designs. I mean, really stand out. And favorite ones, I think, were Yosuke, Chie, Kanji, Teddy, and Dojima for designs. I mean, to name some of my favorites. let's see what else. Oh yeah, then you have like starting with I think Persona 3 started. The school segments where you go to school and you have tests and stuff. It's like high school life, those type of segments. It has that, of course. There's not, for the most part, they kind of play out this like cutscenes, like interactive novel segments. They don't really have a ton of interactivity to them. Sometimes you'll get a question in the game, like if you have to, the teacher want you to answer a question. Like an example would be like there's one about all these 3 different rivers, and which one of these is an actual river. Well, in the game it was called the I think it was PIS River, PP River, I think. I thought it was pretty funny. It has questions like that, and if you get the answer right, you get your knowledge stat increases. But other than that, it doesn't really. It's not a big deal if you get it wrong, but it's better if you do. Then you get more intelligence stat boost. Oh yes, also the stat system. I don't know which game started. I'm guessing it's been around a while. I haven't played anything before 4 yet. But you have all these stats. Like one is courage, intelligence, diligence, so on. It has I think it's like 5 or 6 stats, and there's a trophy for filling them all, which I just got recently. Oh yes, also the game has trophies, like the remastered versions. They add trophies to it, to increase your replayability of the game is increased. I've gotten about I think 37 of them so far out of 50. So there are a few I couldn't get. It's gonna take another playthrough or 2, so I'll do eventually. Once I'll speed through, it'll be easier. I think you get to keep these certain things, like get to keep the better weapons, the armor, and so on. I don't know if you get to keep the items you got after filling up the confidants. I'm hoping I'll make it go faster, but I don't know. Let's see, the ones I didn't get were, I'll name a couple offhand. The one for filling out the compendium all the way, maxing out all social links. What else? I don't remember everything offhand. Oh, fighting. I don't remember what. There's a certain persona you have to create in the game. I can't remember what the name was. I think it was the one you fought at the end. I'm not gonna say. There's one you fight at the end. I think it's that one. And there's one defeat Margaret. Probably get that another time. You can't get all of them. That's the thing. You kind of have to play it a few times to get all the trophies, and you're probably bound to, unless you refer to a guide, you're probably bound not to get the true or, well, in this case, the golden ending. You're not going to get it unless you have a guide. I know that happened like Persona 5 Royal. At first I didn't get the true ending, so I ended up having to go through it again, and I finally got the true and royal ending. Same with Persona 4. I didn't get the true ending, and by extension, the golden ending the first time. So it's normal. You're probably gonna get one of the bad endings at first. And if you're playing it, it can feel very abrupt, but if the ending feels abrupt, it probably means you didn't get the true ending. So just keep it in mind. What else? The game has some really good comedy sequences, mostly with Teddy provides a lot of the comedy with his bear puns, and Junos Bomber is a pretty funny attack. It's a giant Teddy that blows up, and sometimes your party members during battles will come in, they'll be riding a moped, and they'll crash into the enemies. Naoto has an attack. Sometimes she'll do it where she'll use excessive force on the enemy, so she'll be throwing mad at them, and then she'll kick them. She'll do a high kick. That's pretty funny. hoping maybe next time I play it, I'll get a clip of that. It's hilarious. They have other such attacks, and it has a slice of life scene which can be really funny. And there's scenes at the beginning of the game. I remember, I think where Yosuke ended up losing Chie's martial arts movie, and I think she kicked him in the dick, and he said, "Oh, my dragon!" He's holding it. He's like, "Oh, my dragon!" It's really funny. Oh yeah, despite the look of the game, the game is a mature game. I mean, it is mature for a reason. It has stuff like that, and there's images of people who because of Midnight Channel, and the fog creeps in, they end up committing suicide. I'm not sure exactly how it happened. I don't think it was fully explained, but how they end up doing in the real world. But these people would, like, the next day they'd be found like hanging lifeless, on a pole or on a satellite or antenna or something like that, and then I'm not going to say who. It'd be a spoiler, but you see it throughout the game. These people it'll make news in the game where these people will be found dead after the fog appears, and if you're not able to save them before that happens. Oh yes, that's another thing. In the game, they of course have their deadlines to complete these dungeons, and the deadline happens if you look at the weather, when there's going to be rain at least 2 days in a row, the very next day there'll be fog. And if you don't complete the dungeon before the fog sets in, then you get a game over and you have to start it up again. Luckily, you do get to a certain point, you get to keep some of the, not all of them, I don't think, but a good chunk of the items you got in the previous game you get to keep again. And of course you can go through it faster by skipping the cutscenes, but yeah, if you don't complete it, then the person you're trying to save ends up dying, and then you have to start up the game again, so just keep it in mind. So yes, as long as you beat the dungeon before that happens, before the fog sets in, defeat the boss in that dungeon and rescue the person, then you're fine. And if you do that, then at least until the next event happens, then it's just a slice of life type of stuff, like social links and all that you do. And then at some point, something else comes up. Another main event starts to happen. Similar to Persona 5 Royal, has that happen. Well, I don't know about 3. I think 3, I presume they all are like that. Well, yeah, you have your deadlines, and you have to beat it before that happens. Otherwise, you have to start the game up again. Anyway, this review's going to be going for some time, so I think I'm going to probably wrap it up. So I think I've covered pretty much all the basics of the game. Like I said, I think the game was great, and it's quite an experience. You're probably bound to go through, quite a few hours, probably close to 100 at least, easily. And yeah, you really get over the course of it, you really get attached to the characters, and it feels like you become like, well, I mean, I know you're not really there with them. You kind of feel like you become, part of the team over time, for playing the game so long. Like I know Persona 5, I felt, by the end of that journey of going through the game, I felt really close to them, and, it found a place in my heart. I'm sure you'll find the same will happen with the investigation team. It'll become part of your heart, and I doubt you're going to forget your time with the game. The game is very memorable, and it's pretty unique overall. Other games have tried to kind of copy the success of it, like to varying degrees of success. Like the Trails games, particularly Cold Steel, they tried to emulate the Persona formula. I haven't played all of them yet. Like I played the first one. I thought it was just okay overall. like I noticed it tried to copy certain aspects, like the old schoolhouse, which is similar to. Well, actually, it's not really similar to 4. It's more similar to Persona 3's Tartarus. It's just something you do throughout the game, investigate all these different floors, and no, it doesn't really have much of a distinct style as Tartarus did, but it's similar. It's a similar concept. It has social links. Like I thought the ones in 4 were, well, 4 and 5, they were written very well. It was very drawn in by what was happening in them overall. I don't think I found any of them boring. I think they were all really done well, where they get your attention and, keep it. A lot of them, they feel like relatable, I feel like a lot of relatable events with these social links happen. I mean, not all of them, but for the most part, they felt pretty, they felt pretty relatable overall. So I think I'm going to end here. So yeah, I think I give the game a 9 out of 10. I think it was great. There were a couple things I wasn't big on, but most of it had to do with the time it came out. Like I said, with the dungeons, they felt a little underwhelming after going through 5, and 5 has such amazing dungeons, and Persona 3 Reload is going to have they're overhauling the dungeon design. It'll have a more distinct look to it, instead of just being the same thing repeatedly, because of hardware limitations. And I presume if they ever did a remake of 4, which they might one day, I don't know. I mean, it still holds up pretty well. It's a 2008 game, and I mean, it's been remastered. It holds up pretty well, for a game from that time. So I don't know if they're going to do it anytime soon. I would think a remake of 1 and 2 would be more worthwhile after, they do Persona 3 Reload. I think that would be more fruitful than remaking 4 at this point. So yeah, definitely, if you're a fan of JRPGs and visual novel type games, games with psychological storylines, memorable, interesting characters, turn-based combat that's really good. Goes for finding weaknesses and using summons like personas. Great music in the game. Slice of life type stuff. Japanese culture, so on. Then yeah, you'll really love this game. It's quite good, and there's also an anime for the game. I haven't seen it yet. Persona 4, the animation. I hear really good things about it. Next time I get Crunchyroll, which will probably be a while, I think I'm going to watch it, see for myself. I did see some clips of it. It has some funny scenes in it, really hilarious scenes. But yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing yet, which I will one day. I'll review it. So yeah, I hope you like my review, and yeah, let's go out there and get the game if you haven't yet. Like I said, if all those things I said, if you enjoyed, then yeah, you really love the game. Also, if you play Persona 5, 5 Royal Strikers, and yeah, you really love the game, and I'm sure you'll have a great time with it. Just keep in mind, it's going to be a long game. It's not going to be a quick journey. So, okay, I'll end my review here. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos I do, including live stream, which I'll be starting Catherine Full Body at the earliest tomorrow, on the 1st. Granted, there's no problem with the internet. If not, then I'll just upload, record it and then upload it later after I finish it. So, yeah, I will see you guys later. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.